Good morning, everybody. Don't know that we've had so much to talk about as we do today, but stay tuned. We got a lot of topics to talk about. The first thing I want to talk about what's going on in the industry. You know, I get the to sit up and see what's going on with our competitors, to see what's going on in the investment markets. And last year, Super 73 was the third electric bike company in the last couple of months to raise a lot of money. This is the first time we've seen smart money chasing this category. And it's happening all over the place. So Super 73 got a $20 million investment this past week, and their press release says the same thing that the Rad one did. They're spending money to try to do what we already have, which is to open up retail stores. So it's sort of flattering to see that they're chasing our model. I don't know how much success they're going to have because they don't have entrepreneurs like you folks like we do. We're so fortunate. Just to give you some statistics that we got from the bike industry, we got a lot of data last week from what happened last year in the bike industry. And the most compelling, the one we look at the closest, is what's happening with with dealers, IBDs, the independent bike stores. And their average selling price last year was $2,950. And we compared to our average selling price was a little over $3,300. So we're commanding a slightly higher price than the traditional bike market is. And that's compared to mass merchandisers that are selling bikes at $600, and online guys that are selling bikes. What was the average on that price? The average selling price on the online?
We would have to estimate that.
Yeah, but it's around $1,500.
I would imagine probably closer to like 12 or 1,300 average across everything.
With all the Amazon on. So we're tracking well. The most exciting part is the industry grew by a substantial amount. We're growing right in line with the industry. So as long as we keep up with the industry growth, we'll continue what we believe to be is about a 10 or 11% market share of all the bikes being sold through bike stores, through independent bike stores. Not the total market, but what's happening through bike stores. And we think we have the largest slice of that market because the rest of it's divided. So we're very encouraged by that. Our average selling price last year, by the way, dropped from $3,700 and some change because of the Element. The introduction of the Element, the lower price bike, raised, and we sold a lot of them, and that reduced the average selling price. So you need to keep that in mind. Okay, so a lot of other interesting things happened over the last.
Before you move on, we got a couple of notes that we were having audio but not video. I kind of restarted it, and maybe somebody can type in the Q&A or the chat. Are you getting our video now, or are you still just hearing the audio?
Oh, it says working now. I got a text from.
Got it. Okay.
Tom says working now.
All
Video
right,
is working.
Sorry to interrupt. Okay.
Thank God Tom's upstairs monitoring remote.
All right. Continue.
So that's okay. Nothing I talked required any pictures.
Yeah.
So we're good, as long as you had audio, and you can always play it back. So a couple other interesting things. I got a text early this morning from Brian in La Quinta, and he had an $80,000 day yesterday. $80,000 in sales in one day. Now, we were looking for the $100,000 a month. People do $100,000 a month, and we've got lots of reports of that this year, but we've never had anybody do 80,000 in a day. So while it's impressive, we want to set a goal now for somebody to report $100,000 in sales in one day. It's an incredible number. I called Brian this morning and said, Brian, I can't believe this. I mean, you sold 20 bikes? He goes, no, I sold 17, but 6 of them were platinums. And I said, well, is it individual customers? One guy came in and bought 4 as soon as I opened, and within 45 minutes, somebody else came in and bought 2. So he sold 6 platinums, 4 to one guy and 2 to another guy and gal, I guess. And then during the day, they were all onesie twosie. So that's a pretty incredible number. Congratulations to Brian, and thanks for sharing that with us, because it's very telling about where the market's going. So then we're talking about what's happening also in the market. Let's take a look at our newest store look in Rancho Santa Margarita. Cynthia went out and took pictures yesterday of this store, and it's just incredible. I have no other words to describe it. Alan moved down the street. He moved from about 2,000 square feet to, I believe it's 3,000 square feet. He has 86 bikes in stock. And just for reference, last year, Rancho Santa Margarita store purchased 155% more bikes from us than they had the previous year. So our same store sales growth is up by 103%, but Allen did 155% year over year. And if I look at a lot of the other stores, I see those same kind of numbers. Pedego La Jolla was up 219% last year, for reference. And again, These are bigger stores investing in more inventory. The more inventory you have, the more you're going to sell. Now, this is a departure on the box theme. And I got to say, when I walked in, I said, wow, because off to the left there, you can see those bikes are at an angle. So when you walk in, you see the bikes in these slanted angle hanging up, and a relatively inexpensive way to do it. What's most telling, see all the wood that he's got in the pictures there? That wood was what he had in his old store. And this used to be a gym, and the gym shut down, and they had already copied what Alan did because they liked the wood. So they took the wood theme and they carried it over into the fitness place. So when the fitness place went out of business, when Alan moved in, a lot of that wood was already up there and happened to match the theme that he already had. The monitors in the back, he tried to have 3 different ones going 3 different videos. He found out that didn't work. Now the videos all working the same. He's got the bikes classified. Those are all boomerangs in the first row, and I think the second row is city commuter bikes. He's got a 75-inch TV there. He's got a helmet display. He's a big fan of 1,000 helmets, so he's got them all on display there. Those display racks came from 1,000. I think Alan told me he paid $29 a piece for the display. He tried to get them out of 1,000 for free. I'm not so sure whether he was successful or not. So the moral of this story is this is kind of Pedego 3.0. This is the next generation of stores. Every store is different. We're still a big fan of the boxes. This is just an alternative to the boxes. If you're considering opening a new location, I think you can get some design ideas from this. We can send you these pictures. His display of accessories was outstanding. He's still adding up. That tandem he's got there, he's got a little pooch in the back, which was hilarious on display. His rack display is empty there on the right because he can't get racks. Apparently that's still an ongoing problem as we're going to have during the year getting some of the accessories. So incredible story. By the way, his purchases from us already this year in the first 45 days, he's already bought 30% of the same bikes he bought last year. So I think Alan may join the $2 million club this year, maybe even better than that. Okay, so the next thing we want to talk about is the 2021 van program. So as most of you know, we changed the look. And to be very candid, nobody was ever in love with our old designs. We kept trying new designs. We let you guys try new designs. We did everything we possibly could to get a design. This design has been a home run hit by everybody who sees it. These are the different vans that have been done now with the new look. It mirrors our Hello Funmobile. It looks just awesome. And it's stunning when you see them go down the highway. All the other ones are a little convoluted, and I think we struggled. So in this picture here, this is our Ford Transit van, which is a 2015, I think. It was 5 years old. We rewrapped it. It looks brand spanking new. The one behind it is our 2011 Mercedes Sprinter van that has 100 and some odd thousand miles on it. We also rewrapped that van. Oh my God, everyone thinks we got brand new vans. All we did is wrap them. Right there in front of you is Tom's old Ford Transit van. That's the old style Transit Connect. I think that he bought that when he opened the store. I think that's a 2012 model as well. And look at it. It looks brand spanking new. It was like we couldn't believe it's the same van. Next to it is the Transit Connect we have. Now, let's talk specifically about the right vans to get and how the best way to get good pricing on. First of all, vans are in hot demand right now. They're very difficult to get vans. All these Amazon and all these last mile delivery service companies are having a real struggle, and the factories are having a tough time keeping up. The basic vans, the strip vans, are the hardest ones to come by. The more equipped they are, the better chance you have to get them. We've seen some Mercedes Sprinters come through lately. The Sprinters are going to cost you about $50,000, and the Transit vans are going to cost you, and I'm talking about the big van, not the Connect, they're going to cost you about $35,000. If you can swing it and you can afford to get the Sprinter van, I encourage you. And I can tell you not to buy the Dodge van. Some of you may not know it, but I'm also started a delivery company about 5 or 6 years ago. And the first van we bought was a Dodge van. We had to pay to have somebody haul it away. The transmission crapped out. It wasn't worth fixing. The Transits have done okay, but the Sprinters by and large are worth the extra money because our Sprinter van's like brand new. When you get in, it's hard to tell. It's got 100 some odd thousand miles on it. You get into our Transit van that we had, the full-size one, it was definitely beat up at 50,000 miles. So, but the good news is we're going to expand the program to allow you to buy used vans. We'll go back a model year in 5 years. And it's a Mercedes, we might consider going back a little further because you can buy just about any van and wrap it and it looks brand spanking new. I mean, this is a utility purpose van. It's also the greatest advertising. You can have billboard if you park it in front of your store. I know we've got a store in Florida that's got really, it's on the side of the building and no street visibility, but they put the van out on the street every day on A1A and they get all kinds of exposure because of the van. So it's a very inexpensive sign. But we're going to go one step further. We want everybody to go to the new van ramp. You know, to be honest with you, Cassie, can you show some of the, we've had some van wraps. I don't want to go so far to say they're abominations, but they don't look as good as this wrap does. And so we've kind of allowed it to morph. We'd allow people to do kind of strange things. That's kind of our standard van wrap.
Yeah.
And Winnetka is one of the last stores to do this wrap. And it still looks okay, but it's not a wow factor. So you that have invested in these vans and had them wrapped this way, it's expensive to wrap it completely. And this one would have to be wrapped completely. You'd have to do the roof too, because you see the roof. It's expensive. It's about $4,000 to rewrap a van. But anybody, including Winnetka, who's the last one to do it, we will reimburse you for the full value of wrapping it to the new style, as long as it's approved by us. You have some other bad news?
Yeah, so this morning we went to get some examples of the new van design to see you, and we went to dug up the submissions where people are asking to get credit, the $250 a month credit, and we found all kinds of different vans. I'm going to scroll through them here, but the point of this is, and we're not trying to put anybody down or criticize. A lot of it's our own fault. We've kind of let things get way off base, and of course, we're trying to build a brand long term. We all are committed to that, including all the stores. And the kind of golden rule of branding is consistency. And so it's not good for us to have this inconsistency across all these stores. And so we're willing to shell up some big bucks here to kind of shore this in and get everybody over to the new design, because it's really important to I think everybody and the health of the brand. So as Don mentioned, this is the design we've been using for a while that nobody really loved all along. And so that kind of led us to get a little off track here with this design, where you would have the actual bikes on it and the orange bar across. We said there's a handful of vans running around like that. And then you have some just oddballs of, I don't know, I don't think we designed this. I'm not sure where this came from. This is a store here in California. Here's one that went pretty rogue. It's a cool design, but it doesn't match the branding. Then this is another one. We're not sure where even the graphics came from this one. So
we're not condemning any of these. This is the way we were. We kind of left the rails pretty dramatically. So we're trying to bring it back into center and have everybody have the same look, like we've been doing with the logo and other things. We just got to get a little more stricter enforcement. So if you have an old van and you want to keep it that way, no problem. You can keep it. We're not going to change anything. If you like your design and it's working for you, that's fine. But from this day forward, this is the design you have to use. There's no leaving the thing. And if we send it you the art and it comes back and it's not exactly like we sent it to you, it doesn't qualify for the $250 a month. So we're not saying you have to do it that way. We're just saying if we're going to reimburse you $250 a month, you're going to have to do it our way. It's pretty simple then. So you can do any way you want, but if we're going to pay for it, we want you to do it that way. And we're going one step further, saying if you are willing to change it over and go to the new wrap, up to $4,000, we'll reimburse you the cost of a complete wrap. On the big Sprinter vans like this, you don't have to do that. This is actually Zach's van up in Salt Lake, and Zach's up dramatically too as far as his sales record. He just decided when he saw the new one that he would go with the new look and go all out and get the Mercedes Sprinter van, which we think is a good idea. Regarding pricing and fleet programs, I saw heard about some chatter among dealers about getting discounts. It happens to be something I'm pretty knowledgeable about because I own a delivery company, but I'm also, I used to be a fleet manager in my 20s at a car dealership, and I sold fleet. So the best way to get a deal is not a fleet program. Fleet programs only work when you have an X amount of vehicles all registered to the same name. If you're Amazon, you can do it. If you're Ryder Truck, you can do it. If you're Budget Rent-A-Car, you can do it. If you've got an LLC, Electric Bikes of La Quinta, for example, you don't qualify for the fleet program. But you can get really good fleet deals by calling the dealership that you're interested in and ask for the fleet manager. Circumvent the retail sales formula. They have a set program, and it's usually like $100 over invoice or $200 invoice. In some cases, $200 below invoice if you're a fleet. So you do not have to go in and you do not have to deal with the retail salesman on the floor. Figure out what you want, do your search online, talk to us if you want for advice, and then call and ask for the fleet manager. Now that's if you want to buy a new one. If you want to buy a used one, you know, that you can go out and look and find. Mercedes Sprinter vans are very painful to buy used because they're very expensive. You can find a 3 or 4 year old Mercedes Sprinter van with 40,000 miles on it, and they want close to the original price. Why is that? Well, because they last a long time. So they really hold their value really well, which is another case in my point to get one. So in order of preference, Mercedes-Benz would be my first choice. Second choice would be the Ford large van. Don't get the small ones. Nobody's ever called us up and said, gee, I really wish I got the small van and got the big van. But we got a lot of people that said, I bought the small van, but I really wish I bought the big van. In the Ford family, it's the Transit Connect. That's the small one. The full size is just called the Transit. And the same thing is true with Nissan. So I would say go with Mercedes-Benz, a Ford large, Nissan large, and then no Dodge. I'm recommending against Dodge. It's got a really cool thing. It's got a really low step-in because it's front-wheel drive, but it's mechanically just not sound. It won't last long enough. So I'm going to advise against it. Okay, that kind of concludes mine. Cassie, you had a few things to talk about.
Yeah, I do. One just came up as we were talking. It's a really impressive and inspiring thing to hear about La Quinta doing $80,000 in a single day. And I'm sure a lot of dealers that are watching this are probably thinking, you know, what's he doing? What's the secret to that? And how can I get there? And there's a lot. I just made a quick list here as we were talking about just some of the things in the last couple of weeks I've seen that Brian has done. I mean, he's kind of a dynamo. For example, I know just a few days ago you were on the phone with or on some kind of call with a chamber, like some kind of presentation with the local chamber of commerce. Is that right?
It was actually it was a Facebook live Facebook call with the chamber discussing La Quinta, the local area, and they interviewed me and Brian simultaneously. And it was an hour-long Zoom call live on Facebook that talked about La Quinta, the local community. People were chiming in, they're asking questions. And fortunately for me, Brian doesn't know this, but I was eating my lunch during that because Brian did all the talking.
Yeah.
And you were no there because you're, but it was fine because it's Brian's show. They just brought me in on occasion and to ask me a specific question. And we're always available for that. But getting available locally is huge, right? You're gonna talk about that?
Yeah, we're gonna talk a little bit more about the chamber, but I know he set up multiple self-guided tours recently with Carly. We've been talking about that on the app. Of course, we're talking about the vans. Brian's got, I don't know, 3 or 4 vans and trailers and all kinds of stuff. But then, and of course, we all know he does a lot of events. But I want to talk also about advertising. So we, over the last year or so, have been very relaxed, and in some cases where we had inventory shortages, it didn't really make sense for people to advertise. In particular, I'm talking about Google local search ads and also social media advertising. We have a campaign that we can run on your behalf now. In years past, especially for a new store coming on board, we would be calling you. If you didn't set up a Google Ads campaign, we would be calling you and say, hey, you need to get your head examined. You should be doing this. And we don't really do that anymore. We kind of assume that with how hot the market has been, everybody's kind of happy with the way things are going. But if you want to sell more bikes, you can. There are things that you can do. If you contact me, we can get you set up with Santiago. You can spend money on advertising wisely. That's going to drive business. We did a survey recently of stores that have been open for more than a year. And I appreciate everybody that participated in that. Almost everybody, one of the questions we had was, how much are you spending? What's your marketing budget? And I put less than 3% as like thinking only some people would have that. I should have had like a 2 and a 1% so I could, because almost everybody was less than 3%. And that's not normal. I mean, less than 3% for advertising is extraordinary. So I would encourage anybody that's listening to that and wants to do more business. One of the things you certainly can consider if you want to get more people in the door is advertising. Spending more than 2 or 3% on advertising would be a good start. That I think would be a smart investment. And to get you started, you can go to the dealer support site and look at the local advertising partnership we can do to start with the Google search ads. And if you want to do even more, we can do the Facebook ads. And there's a whole program we have to support you and help you with that. So the other thing, you want to add to that?
Yeah, well, not that, but I got something else to say when you're done.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to mention that was on my list to talk about today, a few weeks ago, we talked about the potential legislation that would have a tax credit for electric bikes. The store in West Houston and Houston Heights did something I think is really, really smart and didn't take a lot of energy that I would encourage everybody to do if you really want to see something like this pass. Although it's a little scary, I think that's part of what Brian was saying, was he's scared to think of what's going to happen if we have this tax credit, given how hot things are already. But what Jason and Amanda did is they contacted their local chamber, and I have the email where they asked the chamber representative to hand deliver a letter of support to the local representative. They sent the letter themselves, but they also introduced the chamber president to this. And the chamber, I see the email exchange where the chamber president said, yep, I did this. And by the way, your representative is on the transportation committee. So I think this is a really good thing. So that to me just makes sense. It's really smart. Most of you, I think, are members of your local chamber. Now is a chance to really get your money's worth for your dues. And I guarantee that a letter, and especially if it's hand delivered, of support from the local chamber is going to mean a lot more to your local representative than a letter just from your one business. So just something to think about. If you have questions about how they did that exactly, you can contact me or I'm Jason and Amanda. I'm sure we'd be happy to talk to you about it. They're probably starting to thaw out by now, but I would encourage everyone to do that.
Okay, and you know, I just heard yesterday that in the state of Washington, they're trying to get a moratorium on sales tax for just electric bikes, which would save money on sales tax. It would just be more fuel. In Maryland, they just did a moratorium on all sales tax on everything for a short period of time. So there's a lot of incentives going to go out there that are going to help the retail business, particularly the ones that are local. In Maryland, they're trying to drive business to local places. So local businesses are the only one that can offer this sales tax break. Okay, a couple of other things that I want to talk about. Cassie, is it possible to bring up the map of the Hello Fun Mobile and where it is, and it's on its map on our website? Can you bring up the Hello Fun Mobile thing? So the Hello Fun Mobile is making its way across the country. It had made its first stop in Tucson and did an ad hoc Pedego Palooza there, and got great reviews from a handful of people. Ray is driving it across country. He was in New Braunfels, I believe, yesterday. And he is on his way to Baton Rouge, and he will be at the very first Palooza for the year, which is going to take place in Santa Rosa, Florida, at Jason and Amanda's second store. I'm going to be there. My wife's going with me. We're going to visit that thing and participate in that Palooza. And then I'm going to stay in the van and drive it throughout Florida and visit some of the stores all the way to the next grand opening event, which is going to be, that I'm going to attend, will be in Boca Raton. But there's two types of events. One is a grand opening event. The other one is a Palooza event. Those are the ones that are there. In the case of the one we're doing in 30A, it's both. It's a grand opening because they've opened their second location, and it's a Palooza event at the same time. So it's a great way to kick off the Palooza season and the season for us. But I just got a note from Brian, who was obviously listening to the call. And he said, even more impressive is we have done $500,000 in sales in the last 52 days. $500,000 in the last 52 days. So the good news is that these stores in Florida, the stores in California and in Arizona, and some of the stores that are kind of a barometer for what's happening with the industry this year, okay? Because their season's on. Okay, they're winding down their season. The rest of the country, the season's coming up on us, and they didn't even have the benefit of this incentive if and when it happens. So there's a lot of exciting things happening. Lastly, I want to just talk about the dealer meeting, which we've been struggling with having. We're still shut down here in California, so there's not going to be one. We don't know when we're going to open. We're working at virtual things. So the next thing will happen is we will have a virtual awards ceremony. Cassidy's trying to find the best software to do that. We'll have a Zoom type call. Maybe it's even on Zoom if we find out it's the best way to give awards for last year, because we've got an incredible amount of awards to give out this year. I mean, I look at the sales growth of these stores and it's astounding. So we want, at a minimum, we're going to do that awards ceremony to recognize those that did an outstanding job last year and test that software to see if it's applicable to us having a virtual dealer meeting. Okay, Cassie, you have anything else, or we go to Q&A?
No, yeah, we can go to Q&A. The first one is somebody felt that they were being shamed for their van, and I apologize for that. We certainly didn't mean to put anybody's van down. If anything, this is my personal responsibility. I've been asleep at the wheel and kind of letting this really get out of control with different, it's not that any van is bad, it's just they all should be the same. So I sincerely apologize if you felt that we were putting you or your van down.
No, in fact, the
That
van
wasn't
that
the
we're talking
intention.
about, I think looks fabulous. There's just nothing wrong with the van the way it looks. The fact is that we're trying to keep our brand the same. So this is not about that. We're being very flexible. We approved it. We're paying for it. You can keep the van. We're not, this was not at all. We're actually, if we're shaming anything on the vans, is probably our earlier designs. Nobody was ever in love with them. We just kept trying to come up with a design. We tried all different things and nothing became magic. This new one is magic. So our apologies was no intent at all to shame anybody's van. Trish Larson's asking, is that bill going for a vote? Yeah, it's moving along. I got some, there's nobody objecting to it. The only one objecting to it are the traditional bike industry. They're trying to get regular bikes counted in. Okay, well, the electric cars had a great thing. They didn't allow regular cars when they did the credit. So it's not like that's going to happen, but nobody's really objecting to it. We've got both sides of the aisle in favor of it. I can't see any reason why it's going to happen. Okay, is there a van? Danny's asking, is there a van that can act as a passenger and a cargo van? Yes, absolutely. So the Mercedes Sprinter van is a great van for that. And those are more available than the cargo vans. And the windows get wrapped as well. I'm trying to think of an example of one. I don't think we've done it in the new wrap, but on the old wrap, we're able to wrap the windows as well. And it's really difficult to tell that the windows are wrapped because they put those dots in it. So you can see out the window, but not in the window. So you can take a regular Mercedes or Ford Transit van that's the passenger van, and you can wrap it to look just like a cargo van and have the seats pop in and pop out. And that's really a good idea if you're going to do some tours. Pedego Dallas, when do you expect interceptors? Well, we're getting them in. I can't say exactly when. They're coming in continually. I don't have the orders in front of us, but that's more referred to the inventory sheet. Maybe you can go there and look at it, Cassie, to see what the status is. So anybody looking for something specific, you need to go to the website and look at inventory, and you should get your answer on when. And there's a lot more coming that aren't showing there, but we don't put them on there until we've got confirmed documentation that's actually there, that's on the water.
Okay, yeah, let me, hold on, let me share the screen here. So we provided this a couple of weeks ago. It's under this 2/1/21 updates, inventory back orders. And if you click this link here, this is going to give you ETAs on everything. So you could look here at Interceptor, and if you want, you can hit this little plus sign, and this should, well,
should work, right?
yeah, whatever.
So
there is a way you can make this expand where it'll show you all the different, step throughs and 24-inch step through the sizes. But here you can say Interceptor, and we're going to be like I think we're swimming in boomerangs now. We'll be swimming in Interceptors here starting in March. As we've talked about before, we hope to get them before the Chinese New Year. Unfortunately, through no things out of our control, that didn't happen, but they are coming. I just saw a couple of containers just a couple of days ago that are on their way. Unfortunately, they had mag wheels, so we'll have to sort that out.
By the way, those aren't on the tech call. The mag wheel situation has been resolved. We've got mag wheels coming for us. We've got a way to replace the ones that are on there. So hang on the ones you have. Sometime in April, we'll have those mag wheels available for you to pop out. So
there we go.
For those that are in season, you'll have plenty of mag wheels to replace. We've got all the bikes that you guys have in inventory, and all the ones we have coming in. We have replacement mag wheels. I'm going to reimburse you guys to swap them out. I watched them do one last week, and inside of 10 minutes, they replaced the rear mag wheel. And that's obviously the toughest. Change the tire and everything on it. So
yeah, there you can see what it looks like when it's expanded. So you can see for each frame, when they're expected.
I've never seen this, Cassie. What an outstanding job. Congratulations. That's outstanding.
Apparently, you're not the only one that
hasn't seen it. Well, I think that's why you wanted to share it, right?
Well, we shared it before.
Back to Q&A.
All right, my van you use as an example is a window van. Okay, well, that's
wow, I didn't even know that. Can you pull that one back up again? That's the Baltimore van. That's one of the best looking vans I've seen. Let's show you what that looks like. Wow.
Let's see. Here we can see it with the ice on it.
There it is. Let's see that van. Wow, wow, wow. Look at that. That's a window van. So that shows you exactly what I'm talking about. Those were the Pedego electric bikes. So those are all windows that have got that all down that whole side of that van is a window van. So, and they're also far more easily to get a hold of. In fact, there's really good deals on used ones because a lot of these guys that we're doing different conferences and conventions transporting people, they've got all these vans that they're selling off. So don't hesitate to try to find a good deal on a used one because you can take just about any color van you want and turn it into this color. And you know, I like the idea of having some fancy mag wheels on it too. It really dresses it up. Okay, inventory sheet says out of stock. Well, that's why if you look at the other one, I think.
Yeah, Pat Hogan is asking how many bikes fit into. I want to use that just to illustrate a point. We do have a lot of flexibility as far as what vehicles are used. Many of you probably know that Jason and Amanda in Houston have a Tesla that he puts a couple of trail trackers on the top of. And I know that Pat has a box truck that he uses. So what do you think the estimated for the number of bikes that can fit in there?
Well, a full-size Sprinter van with a high roof, by the way, get the high roof. If you get the short roof, you're gonna bump your head all the time. I've had people complain about getting the short roof and not being happy with it. You can easily get 10 Pedegos in a Sprinter van. I've done it myself multiple times. I've crammed as many as 11 in. These are not in the boxes, but I've also seen 20 going in the boxes, into the Ford Transit van. Bring Pro, the delivery service, takes bikes here locally. I've seen more than 20 go out in a van in boxes, and you can stack them on top of each other. So you can go 5, 5, and 2 sets a row of 5, which gives you 20. And then you can get some more stuck in the back. So you can also put a rack on the back if you get a hitch and carry 2 or 4 more if you have a rack. So, you know, that's enough. In the small ones, that's a better question. Like the transit vans, 3 max. I mean, two's comfortable, 3's a tight fit.
So the 10 or 11 that Don is talking about is using the tie downs, the kind of the traditional method. I have seen people take the pedals off of bikes and use moving pads and pretty much just throw them in there. And you can fit a lot more that way. I think you could probably go from 11 to 15 or even 16 if you do that.
Okay, on the list, don't see the tandem. The tandem's actually, I think the tandems are here, but they've got mag wheels on them, so we haven't tagged them yet.
Yeah, and it's very, I'll say it's very scarce, the number that are coming. It's not a lot that are coming around the way.
Okay, John in Baltimore says mine fits 10 easily. So there he's substantiating what I'm saying. So he's got the tall Sprinter van. Actually, he's got the Transit van. If that's Baltimore, that's a Ford. So the Ford Transit also holds 10.
No, his is a Dodge.
Oh, a Dodge. Okay.
After you.
So
another person you shamed his van.
I'm not shaming the Dodge. Dodges are a good value. The big advantage of the Dodge is you see the way those doors open because it's rear-wheel drive. That's the height you've got to lift the bikes in. So I love the Dodge as a practical delivery van. I just don't think it's going to last very long.
My dad is asking the form for the new wrap. So you would just, I think I'm sharing my screen. Oh, I just stopped sharing. Okay, let me share the screen here to show everyone where to get to that. You would go to the dealer support site on the home page here, and you can just go to design. It's under signage. And you could get right here. You just fill out this form, and Santiago will take care of that for you. Okay, I think that's probably about it. I saw there was maybe one more thing in the chat, just people talking about vans in the chat.
Okay, next week, hopefully I'll be able to join the call remotely from Florida. And those that are in Florida, I'm warning you, I'm coming. I'm heading your way. We'll see most of the stores throughout the next couple of weeks while we're making the circuit in Florida to go out and have some fun and ride bikes and have palooza and visit some stores. So I look forward to that.
Okay, thanks for tuning in, everyone. And just to kind of reiterate, I don't know if we were clear enough. Anybody with an old style van, Pedego is going to pay 100% of the new wrap cost up to $4,000.
Which is what we find to be the price to do it. So, you know, you can negotiate, try to get a price, but to do a big van like a Mercedes Sprinter van, full wrap on the top and all over, or not the top, is $4,000. On the smaller vans, the Transit Connect and all that, we're finding it's about $2,500. But there you're going to have to do the roof as well. So it's a matter of square footage of what's being done. But you have to get the graphics from us. And when you submit the graphics to us, it has to match what we sent you. Don't make changes. Don't add colors. We've seen a couple of people a little slightly rogue. There's no rogue at all. This is, if you want us to pay for the graphics and you want to be part of the $250 a month van program, it has to be the graphics we provide you.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have a nice day.